Court of Justice, was Israel has actually been taken to court. But Admiral Sinha, the reason I mentioned two separate theaters of conflict in the same program is because I think India has to navigate both of those tumultuous waters, right? And China is, in my estimation, something we need to talk about when we talk about our own security challenges. Even when we talk about what's happening in the Maldives, we can pretend that beach tourism is what is the dispute, but it isn't really. It's just a little trigger for something much deeper that's going on. Admiral Sinha?
Is a little more serious issue closer home, and I think
Yes.
India will continue to face a lot of headwinds there, and you can see the beginning already. But I have also noticed that yesterday there was a demonstration against the president having taken this decision. Also, some of the guys of his own party, and some of the guys who belong to the party of Mr. Yamin, the former president. So, therefore, it is not the entire population which is against India. India out was a sort of slogan. It was given only to win the election, and that
Yeah.
is because the two parties are in coalition. But they're not. The Moizu is only a compromise candidate. He is not. He does not reflect everybody's view. So I have a feeling that we have to wait and watch. The 75 people coming out, etc. Their own people will start, protesting because it has saved 500 lives, Barkha, in last 5 years. They were all patients who were about to die. They were lifted from one island and brought to the hospital, which is again run by the Indian doctors and nurses. So I think that the public opinion is slowly turning away, and I wouldn't be surprised that he does not get his full tenure in Maldives. I know it's very big, big prediction to make, but I will really stick my neck out because this is the kind of thing will happen. Otherwise, till then, 20 agreements he has signed with China. And let me tell you that no aspect of daily life is left out in that. So they will penetrate every damn life of Maldivians if that the agreement actually gets into the worksheets.
Yeah, and of course this is not about the people of Maldives, but if I can just bring in Navtej briefly, because I know we made a little error on our banner. You were making a point about China's presence, in the Maldives. There's China's fingerprints all over what's happening, doesn't it?
Well, China has been exerting itself not just in the Maldives, but in our entire ocean region, as the admiral would know better. There is the famous attempted string of pearls, the set of ports around
Encirclement. Yeah.
India, deep into the Arabian Sea, which can, at a switch of a button, can become operational naval ports. So yes, China's presence as part of its naval expansion has been very much there in the Indian Ocean and in the Arabian Sea, and it is seeking influence in each of the areas, in each of the countries that are around India, and that we have always presumed to be so-called in the Indian zone of influence. So there,
Yeah.
I don't need to get into naming the countries, but it's quite obvious.
General Sharma, before I give Ambassador Arun Singh the last word, I know you have a sort of contrarian view on the merchant ships, on the practicality of what is happening. But the fact is, as has been said on this program by almost everybody, you have a parallel set of rivalries and parallel theaters of conflict. And India, while as a sort of very significant country on the global stage, also has its own immediate neighborhood and security to look after. So just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so Barkha, look, first point I will make is that we have over the years worked with inimical governments. Musharraf, I mean, he was the Karta Dharta of Kargil. He came to India. Ziaul Haq came to see a cricket match in Ziaul Haq, imagine. He came to see a cricket match in India. We worked with Prime Minister Khalida Zia. We worked with Prime Minister Oli. We have worked, our diplomacy has been so effective, even against inimical governments. So what if there is an inimical government today with Maldives? I think we will find a method. There are patients coming from Malay who are being picked up and brought to Kerala for treatment. There is people to people connect of a kind which we can't even imagine here. So I think there are ways here which will go outside the narrow percepts of the government stating anti-India views, etc. I think this is a matter of time. We'll sort it out. Second point I wish to make is about, look at the landlocked countries. Bangladesh is the second largest purchaser of weapons from China, from tanks to aircraft, from port BNS Sheikh Hasina made by the Chinese for A6 submarines which which Bangladeshis don't have. So you can imagine, and you see the Tarai region in Nepal, the amount of work being done by the Chinese in the Tarai region of Nepal, which touches the borders between India, Bihar, and Uttar Pradesh. So the fact of the matter is that China is making inroads all over the place. It's not the oceans. They have deep pockets. They have methodology of doing it, and they are doing it. Now we have to take this issue into advisement, saying that okay, the Chinese will do what the Chinese will do. We have to do our bit to make sure that our cultural connects and all other connects that we have with the region, that we are able to perform much better despite the competition that the Chinese are providing us.
Okay, let me give the last word to Ambassador Arun Singh. You opened by saying, when I say we, I mean India doesn't have to pick a side. We're going to navigate this in the way that we quintessentially have. But as Foreign Minister Jaishankar has famously said, we have moved from non-alignment to multi-alignment. And Naftej made the point, Ambassador Sana made the point about each country out for themselves. India too increasingly guided by our own self-interest, our own national interest. Where for you should foreign policy and strategic affairs focus lie today? Is there a red flag? Is that where you think our attention should be?
No, I think first, of course, there is the broad effort at the strategic level. And that, if you see in terms of the comments made by our leaders, is clear that sustain the relationship with Russia, deepen the partnership with the US, and strengthen yourself to deal with the challenge from China. So that's the broad strategic frame. Now, within that, then you respond to various situations. On the Russia-Ukraine conflict, for example, India did not go along with the US position, did not vote against Russia, but distanced itself from Russia by supporting sovereignty and territorial integrity of countries. And the Prime Minister told President Putin that this is not an era of war. On the Israel-Hamas conflict, India has come out very strongly against terrorism, and the Prime Minister tweeted that India supports Israel in the stance against terrorism, but then also that international humanitarian law needs to be observed, and that the diplomacy is the way forward. So the effort has been to chart out our own path. So I think in terms of the escalation that is happening in West Asia and in the Red Sea, I think India's basic message would be that our interests are also being impacted, and a way has to be found that the interests of developing countries and others, and it's not just India, we spoke about Egypt, countries in Africa, Southeast Asia, they're all going to be impacted, that their interests also need to be taken into account. So I think that would be the argument going forward.